Hey friends, today on Gardening with Creekside, we are going to have some fun and we are going to put together the hanging baskets that are going to go on our front porch. It's very exciting times. I have been kind of planning this loosely in my head for a couple of weeks now, but I went ahead and made the switch this winter and got some really nice large hanging baskets from my beloved Kinsman Garden Company. I will show you those baskets in a little bit, but y'all, they're 24 inches wide and 14 inches deep. They're huge. And so the bigger the container, the more plants you can put in it, and that is what we are going to do today. I really did not have an idea on the exact plants that we were going to use when I was planning in the fall and in the winter. I just knew that I wanted a bigger basket, therefore I could make a bigger impact, because with our house, of course, our house is large, has a large front porch. And most people don't see our house really up close. You see it from a distance. So when you have a long distance or you have a big space, you need to have a bigger container to make a bigger show. So that's why I went ahead and got the bigger baskets. Jackson asked me, his request was, Mama, I love the lemon slice calibrachoa. Can you please use lemon slice somewhere? Of course, if my almost 13-year-old son asked me to use a plant, you're going to use the plant. So that is what I have done and kind of created a container around that. So here we do have a lemon slice. Let's see if we can get an up-close picture here that will zoom in. So here is a lemon slice, a Super Bell's lemon slice. It is a nice, obviously a beautiful bicolor, pure white, nice lemony color of yellow, really fun. And so it has a little bit more of that kind of open, airy habit. It will trail. Super Bells do really good in containers, so this will be an excellent choice for me. Full to part sun, 6 to 12 inches tall, and then of course it will trail over. So we're going to use that. Last year, Proven Winners did a little bit of improvement on the Super Bell's yellow. I love Super Bell's yellow. You can tell we have a lot of, like the yellow violas back there are still looking great. You can see yellow from a good distance, right? From a far distance away, yellow really shows up. This is just a simple, as far as color-wise goes, a nice, pure, bright yellow. Nice and solid. Will pair really nicely with the lemon slice, and it just makes a nice impact. This one obviously is a bit of a size difference between this one and the lemon slice. It's just a difference in age of crop. Lemon slice was earlier, then we had the Super Bell's yellow. It'll pick up and carry on just like the lemon slice. I'm not worried about that at all. They improved it with as far as their root structure. Really nice, happy, vigorous plant. So we're going to have that is going to be another one of our kind of filler and spillers all at the same time. Now, here we go. If you watched this for any length of time, you know that Jerry absolutely fell in love with this plant last year. Brand new on the market this year because we got to try it last year. This is the Color Blaze Mini-Me Watermelon Coleus. Really fun texture to it, nice serrated leaves. It's got red and green and a little bit of yellow and very, like I said, serrated open, nice thinner leaf to it than like, say, some of the other ones that have big, huge leaves. So this one will only get to be about 18 inches tall. So this is going to be my thriller in the middle. On my one hand, I say I'm only going to use one, but on the other hand, I say, well, let's put two together and we get a bigger impact. I don't know what I'm going to do. That will be a game time decision, but this is going to go in the middle and kind of tie in all of my colors together. And then we've got two brand new introductions for next year, 2024. Of course, we do have a great relationship with our friends over at Proven Winners, and they send us the next year's introductions for us to trial. So we have been growing these. They send them to us as little babes, and then we have been growing them. This is an improved, the Sweet Caroline Sweetheart Mahogany. So I'm going to show you the color, and then I'm going to tell you about this plant. But a nice, really kind of a heart-shaped leaf to it. It is not a black. It is more of a nice, deep, saturated red. So that is going to be a really fun, more of my spiller in there. Let me get my, I don't want to lead you astray, so I'm going to get my little cheat sheet that Proven Winners gave me. So this is significantly improved over Sweet Caroline Sweetheart Red. So it's more saturated in mahogany red and retains its color really well in full sun. I will say that my hanging baskets on the front porch, they are considered full sun because they will get at least 6 hours, but they're going to be in the shade until about like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the summer. So they get really intense hot sun. So that this mahogany is going to retain its color in that heat is fantastic. It has more of a mounded habit because it has shorter internodes. And so it will trail, but it's not going to take over my container. So that's really good to know. So excited about this. I've been really impressed just with the color, the shape, really nice. Now, this is a new Super Bell. This is Super Bell's Double Redstone. And as soon as this sweet thing started blooming, we all stopped and took notice of it. It is a gorgeous red and yellow, fully double. It has a gorgeous gold bicolor to it. And you can see that the habit of the plant is nice and mounded and tight. It's not thin and kind of gangly looking, right? It's a nice tight one. And if you're familiar with the Super Bell's Cardinal Star, this has those same color schemes to it, just obviously a different flower. So we're going to use that as well. Now, if you love kind of the red and the yellow, but you don't have obviously access to the redstone, you could use like the very new Mini Vista Scarlet. That would be a gorgeous one. You could use Black Cherry, Supertunia Black Cherry. That would be a nice red. There is Supertunia Really Red, so you could go that route. If you don't have, or you don't want to use a Super Bell, you want to go back to a petunia, Limoncello would be fun. It's a little bit of a lighter yellow, but that still would work really nicely. So you kind of take the idea and you kind of tweak it and move it depending on if you really want to use this color. Maybe you want to use a Super Bean, or maybe you want to throw a little white, so you use Super Bean or white out. Whatever the case may be, I'm going to show you how to create a beautiful, successful container with these gorgeous plants, show you little tricks. So without further ado, we're going to stop talking and we're going to start planting these 4 hanging baskets that are going to go on our front porch. All right, my friends, so we've got everything set out here so that we can get these baskets filled up. Now, when I told you they were big, I was not joking. Look at this. 24 inches across, 14 inches deep, and there are 4 chains that this will hang from on the porch. Now, what we have done is simply take our black gold compost and filled in the bottom third of the container. Remember, I found this little great hack trick a couple of years ago after reading it in, I believe, Fine Gardening magazine. It is a game changer for your containers. So whether it's a hanging basket, a container, a hay rack, whatever it is, put the bottom 1/3 with a really good, high quality compost, like this black gold, and then we're going to take the Proven Winners potting soil and we're going to fill it up with the rest of the potting soil. By doing that, it helps retain the moisture. It has great nutrients in it. And then when everything's planted, we're going to come back with the compost and top dress with that. Now, if you're interested, again, these containers came from Kinsman Garden Company. I love them, not affiliated with them. I just really, really like their products. High quality and will last you for years and years. Yes, it is an investment, but it will last you forever. They're wrought iron, they're cocoa liners, are really thick. Like I have had my hay racks and my other hanging baskets, and I just had to replace this year my hanging basket liners, and this was going to be year 4. So I got 3 really good years out of my hanging baskets, and I should be good on my hay racks again. So Kinsman Garden Company, this is the 24-inch Euro Classic. I will have the link in the video description, so if you're interested in checking it out, you can. They come in different sizes. 24-inch is definitely the biggest, but I wanted to go big or go home, so we got the 24-inch. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to do this very, gracefully and fill this up with some potting soil. We had a customer this weekend, and she said, Jenny, do you really just use that Proven Winners potting soil? And I was like, Jerry, do I use anything else? And he was like, nope. So this is all that I use. So here we go into the container, and you always want to go as big as you possibly can with your containers so that they hold as much soil as you possibly can get, because I have my faithful companion right here beside of me. I think I'm gonna stop with that. So I always say to go for the biggest container that your space will allow, because the bigger the container, the more soil it will hold, the more room your roots have to grow, the more moisture it holds, the more food it holds, and it just makes for a really easy container, because you're not gonna have to be out there watering it all the time and just going out there, you know, and it's gonna be very, very happy plants. So we've got it all nice and filled. Now I have the fun job of figuring out the exact design on this. So what I'm going to do is just take a little moment to myself, and I got my faithful companion right here. She is ever beside of me. So I'm just going to figure out exactly the layout, and then we'll meet back here in just a second and I'll show you how I'm going to plant it. All right, I think I have figured it out. So I'm going to deconstruct it as I show you, so that way I can put it back together again. All right, so in the middle, I know it's a little smaller right now. Remember, it is mini me. It's going to get big though. I went ahead and I told Jerry, this is what I went between. Do I do 1 coleus or do I do 2 coleus? And I am determined to have big, beautiful containers this year. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do 2, but I'm going to plant them as 1. If you only want to do 1, or you had a smaller container, just do 1, okay? So those are going to be 2 of them planted as 1 in the dead center. And then from this point, what you want to do is you have the same plants used in multiple locations. So what you do is plant them directly across from each other. So my mahoganies, right, are directly across from each other. And then my double red stones right here are directly across from each other. My lemon slices and my yellows all directly across from each other. So that way, when you look at the basket, it is even and it spills over. Also, in my brain, it made it really nice because I had the mahoganies and then I had 3 super bells on each side. So it's nice and balanced, and in my head, that just happens to make a lot of sense. So what we're gonna do now is, this is gonna be really easy, because actually I pressed down my pots, and I know that the holes may go away here in just a second, but I can see my impressions. So it's just really simple, y'all. They're annuals. You're gonna take them out of the container and you're gonna dig your little hole right here and you're gonna just plop it in, just like that, right? So I'm gonna get my other one, my other mini-me watermelon. Nice healthy roots. People will ask, why do I not break up the roots? This plant is not root bound. Please, you do not have to do that. The only time that I take my hory and go to town on the roots is when it is really root bound. These are not root bound whatsoever. So I get onto my mama, my sweet master gardener mama, because she will go in there and just like destroy the roots. And I'm like, Mama, sometimes you're doing a little more harm than you are good. So just take it down a notch, sister. There is no need. So you will rarely see me, especially with annuals, do that. Even though the roots are nice and developed, that is not a root bound plant. I am not going to go in there and break it up. So just going back to where my holes are, getting them snugged in, and yeah, so we're going to get this one done. All right, so she is planted. I just got everybody stuck in the ground. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back and do a little top dress of the Proven Winners time release fertilizer. Yes, there is a little bit already in the soil, but these are all very heavy feeders, and this will help ensure that they get a nice start. Now, your time release fertilizer, okay, from the Proven Winners, it is specifically designed for your flowering annuals. This is meant for your annuals. It's not meant for shrubs and perennials and trees. So you use it with your annuals. The time release is released by temperature. So when you water and it's warm, the heat is what's going to release that fertilizer into the soil. It is not a fast acting, it is over time. And for us, I have found, because on the bottle it says up to 6 months, personally where I am, I find about 3 months. But it's really nice to have it in your soil, so in case you miss a liquid fertilizer application, your plants are still getting food. Now, if you can remember, I know I struggle with this too, y'all, it is hard. Come back with your water-soluble fertilizer, Proven Winners water-soluble fertilizer, basically every kind of 10 to 14 days. Proven Winner says every third watering. For me, that could be like every other day in the summertime, right? So they don't need quite that much, or I just can't keep up with that rather. And so I try to do at least once a week, or at the most spaced out every 2 weeks. But if you forget or you go on vacation, that's where your time release comes in. Now, one of the tricks that I do, y'all have seen me do this numerous times, is to come back in and top dress with your compost. And top dressing simply means that you're going to do a nice little top layer of that compost. So why do we do that? Well, one, it is compost, so it's going to add some nice nutrition, slow nutrition back into the soil, which we love, even in a container. That's a good thing. It helps retain more moisture. Now, these hanging baskets are going to be on drip irrigation. I joke and I say that that's about the best thing Jerry ever did for me, was install an drip irrigation system for me with my hanging baskets on the front porch, because I just struggled keeping them watered enough in the summertime. And so he installed a nice simple little drip system for me with my hanging baskets. The WaterWise kit from Proven Winners would be a great option. But what we're going to do is, because these are so massive, instead of just having a single dripper in it, we're going to buy the little small drip tube and lay it in here and then have it connected. We don't have the components for that today. We will, when we do it, we'll let you know and we'll show you how to do it. So what we're going to do now is, essentially, this container is done. We're going to go ahead and hang it on the porch today. Our temperatures look really good. The Super Bells can take cool temperatures. I have had some out in the upper 30s this past week, handled it like a champ. Your sweet potato vine and your coleus, on the other hand, do not like cold temperatures. We're not dipping below, oh gosh, what was the low 40s, I think, for the foreseeable future. They will be fine. So we're going to go ahead and hang them up on the porch today. But I've got one down and I've got 3 more to go. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other 3. So just sit back and enjoy me work. All right, my friends, so I have got all 4 hanging baskets are completely done. They are fertilized, they are good to go. The only thing I need to left to do is to top dress with the black gold. But while I was sitting here and Miss B is beside of me, I thought I would take this opportunity. I want to share with you and tell you that I'm going to go ahead and pinch some of my Super Bells back. For example, lemon slice, right? So in the tray, this was an early, probably our earliest crop that got planted. And to me, this is a little leggy. This is what we call leggy. I like my plants to be nice and tight and compact. So a really simple solution to this is you're gonna have to sacrifice some bloom. It's okay. I promise the plant will respond really well to this. Take your clippers, whether it's a little snips or just a regular clipper, and you're just gonna come in and you're gonna take some of that length off. Now that's why you're probably gonna lose some of your blooms, but every time you clip, the plant is going to put on 2 other branches. And because super bells and your supertunias bloom on new growth, every time you pinch it back, you're encouraging new growth. And if they bloom on new growth, then that means you're going to have a lot more blooms. I always do this with my hanging baskets come mid-season, because that is when a lot of the plants need a little bit of a refresh. It's a great time to do it. Now, one of the reasons that I'm doing it now, I know that I'm sacrificing some flowers, but super bells are nice, cold tolerant, cool weather plants. They will respond beautifully, get nice and thick, and then I'll have a nice tight mass of flowers that will then spill over, because I want this to grow as a controlled growth together. And any of these plants, for that matter, whether it is the coleus or the sweet potato vine, the other super bells, if it's sometime in the season and you feel like one is getting a little bit more aggressive than the other, or they just need a little trim to get nice and thick back up top, give them a little haircut. I promise you're going to help the plant. Give it a trim, give it a shot of fertilizer, and in a very short amount of time, they're going to reward you with lots of beautiful new growth. So what we're going to do is we're going to top dress with our black gold compost. Then we're going to heft these babies and we're going to go ahead and hang them up at the house. Okay, my friends, so we got all 4 of the hanging baskets hung here on the front porch, and they make quite an impressive display, even just being little tiny baby plants in these massive containers. These suckers are heavy. I have no idea how much they weigh. They weigh a lot. It took Jerry and I both to pick them up, and we have not watered them yet. Obviously, I'm going to do that here in just a little bit, but they are hung. I didn't want it to be dripping on me while I was talking to you. But we did do also, I bought these special hooks from Kinsman a couple of years ago, and on the bottom of it, it rotates. So because on our front porch, obviously you have the house on the back side, right? So sun would never hit this side of the container. So those little swivel hooks allow you to turn the hanging basket, or the hanging basket will turn on its own with the wind. That way we get nice even growth on the hanging baskets. So we have that hooked up, and then of course the basket is attached down to it. We will get the irrigation hooked up. We've got to order the supplies and everything. At this point, once I get them well watered in, I'm not going to be out here watering very often. Couple of reasons for that. One, our temperatures are not exceedingly hot right now, so we're having nice moderate spring temperatures. 2, the plants are young. They don't have extensive root systems that cover this entire basket, right? So they have small root systems. And then 3, we put tons of soil in here. So once I water this in really well, and that soil and that compost is holding on to that water, that's a nice reservoir for those developing roots to pull from. So in the beginning of the spring, you're not going to have to water as much as you are fast forward to August, where you're having to water nice and thoroughly at least once a day. So once I get these nice and well watered in, they'll be good for multiple days in a row and we will be fine. Cannot wait to see how these grow and develop. Obviously, we're going to keep you updated on that. As far as growth on my end, what I expect, the Super Bells, they can handle these temperatures really, really well. My Coleus and my sweet potato vine tend to be more hot weather loving plants. So I wouldn't be surprised if I just see some minimal growth, nice compact growth here in the coming weeks while my Super Bells really kind of bulk up some. And then once we get those consistent warm temperatures, then they will really start to take off. But again, it's fun. You know, container gardening is a great way to add a splash of color where you don't have a flower bed. Your front porch is a great place to do it, and I certainly enjoy having them here. As always, we appreciate you. Hope you have learned something, found this informative. Thanks for gardening with Creekside. We'll see y'all in the next video. Bye, friends.